The Duke's Infant and Child Foundation, advocating for children's brighter future.
An advanced diploma in educational leadership and management, a certified Montessori directress. She holds a diploma in special educational needs and is an alumna of the Lagos Business School's senior management program. Uche began her educational journey in 2010 by establishing an after-school center in Asaba and later established Silver Crest School Lagos, which evolved into her current consultancy. She is also the founder of the Explore Foundation, a non-profit promoting equity and inclusion, especially in public education. A passionate advocate for quality and inclusive education, Uche empowers educators and institutions while organizing international educational tours and conferences as a certified travel consultant. Her work continues to inspire educational transformation in Nigeria and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, let us make welcome Uche Moyo, CEO, Silver Crest Educational Services, founder, the Explore Foundation.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be here. I'm here to anchor a panel session where we will be learning. It's quite interactive, so please, we're going to be receiving questions from the audience, and it's interactive. So the title of our panel session today is Quality for Quality, Redefining Teacher Professionalism. All right. So on the panel today, I'm going to be welcoming two of our previous speakers, Lady Jennifer Ekweme. Please put your hands together for her as she comes up. Lady Jennifer Ekweme from Enugu, Safe Hands School, right? Yes, Safe Hands School, all the way from Enugu. You're welcome, ma'am. Anywhere, please. And next we'll be inviting Barrister Doris Chinedu Okoro, the CEO of Evergreen Group of Schools in Enugu. Put your hands together for her. Next we'll invite our global coordinator of the Train the Trainer Summit, Mr. Rotimi Eyitayo, CEO of Team Masters. He's the one behind the national drive, our global coordinator, taking us to the 36 states of the Federation. A round of applause for him. And finally, Ms. Ruhaman Ifere. Is she here? All right, put your hands together. She's project consultant, Team Masters. And I'm also on the panel as well. Questions out. And please, if you have any questions, please write it down. The ushers will bring the questions to us. So this is an interactive session. So first of all, I will start with Barrister Doris. What does professionalism as a teacher mean to you? What does it mean?
Thank you, Chair. I like that question because I think in the sector, in the education sector is where this word is bastardized more. They don't understand what it means. So maybe throwing light to what it actually means will also help a lot of us educators in the house to maybe begin to apply it. Once you're in a profession and you understand the tenets of that profession, abiding by the tenets of profession makes you a professional. Abiding by the tenets of the profession. I may have to break it down a bit for us to understand. Like you're a teacher, you're an educator, and you are a leader. As an educator, you're a leader, you're a role model, and you understand your job. My job is to impact, to teach, to make sure the children entrusted in my care are learning. As you follow that step, you're exhibiting that professionalism expected of you. Beyond that, the structure of the place where you find yourself and where you're maybe working and doing this, there's already a structure in that place. If it's a school, there are structures in the school. Your ability to conform to this structure makes you a professional. Your ability to conduct yourself to make sure you're seen as someone who is conforming to these are the tenets of this profession Simply put, you are supposed to
Barrister Doris for redefining what professionalism is to us. So we go back to the drawing board, which is to know exactly what does professionalism means, which you have done justice to. So thank you very much. So now to Lady Jennifer. Can you give her the mic? So if professionalism is daily practice rather than a title, which Barrister Doris has just said, what behaviors must teachers consistently model? Yes.
Okay, what behaviors must professional teachers
Yes.
model?
So they understand what professionalism is now. So what
Okay.
exactly is that behavior we're talking about?
Okay, I know most of us are young. If we can cast our minds back, we would remember that when somebody behaves a certain way, they would say that person must be a teacher. There were some things that made teachers stand out before now. Things like integrity. That is one of the reasons why, during our elections, the people that are called to be returning officers are teachers, true or false. So forget about whether it is really happening, but that is the expectations. Teachers should have integrity. If a teacher says yes, a teacher's yes should be yes. The reason is because the children trust us. It's a whole lot of burden for a teacher to be trusted by children and then you disappoint them. Number two, I think teachers should look good. We shouldn't look like our problems. In Igbo they will say, "Mada adịna ka ọnụ akọ ya." Teachers should look good. And teachers used to be known to look good. So irrespective of how much they were being paid, teachers were known how to pick and choose how to look, to make people want to be like you. We knew that teachers used to know how to go to Bend Down Select and get the nice black shoe, polish it in the morning, show up looking good so that the children have something to aspire to. I tell my teachers every day, when you stand in front of these children, look like something they want their future to look like. Don't look like sufferings that they never want to go to. Because sometimes they will tell you, how much am I being paid? Oh, and then you now look like the sufferings of the whole world. Remember that you are inspiring a child. You are inspiring someone. There is a particular teacher I had in secondary school that when she shows up with her red lipstick, her nails all made, you're just looking at her. We're not listening to what she's saying, we're looking at her. And that's how teachers used to be. So teachers, one, integrity. Number two, look good. Number three, be empathetic. A professional teacher should be empathetic. You're not brutish. You understand the children. You see these children beyond what they say and what they don't say. A child could be going through so much abuse at home. It takes an empathetic teacher to see beyond what the child is saying, what the child is doing, to be able to draw them in and bring out the truth and be able to help that child. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Lady Jennifer. So if I hear you correctly, it's more about modeling, all right? Model the right values, the right behavior, the right appearance that your children would want to emulate. So now, Rotimi Eyitayo. So we have a lot of teacher training programs going on right now. Most of us here are well-trained teachers. We've attended we have all our qualifications. Now, what's the biggest gap between teacher training programs and actual classroom demands of today? So they are in the classroom. What is the biggest gap?
Thank you very much. I think the gap that I would rank the biggest gap is the fact that most of our trainings are not functional trainings. You find that a lot of times trainings that are designed for the head tends to help everyone to meet up with what we call compliance. And even when we do needs assessment, you ask people what are the training needs that you want to have. A lot of people begin to respond based on what they feel should fit the checklist. But when you now talk about what is in demand, we are going a bit beyond compliance. We're thinking functionality. So that's why you find out that while people are talking about classroom management, talking about lesson plan and all those things. The truth about the matter is that when training does not translate to something that you can internalize or something that is functional, it becomes just a nice to have. And so the gap most times is, how do we make sure that what we are learning is useful, what we are learning is relevant, what we are learning is significant based on the need of the hour. I've been privileged to train across different platforms, across different levels. And I see sometimes that a lot of people just want to feel good that they've been in probably a particular training session. But then when you begin to ask yourself, what exactly will lead to actionable steps? Then you now begin to see the trainers to cause them to create the future. And that's not education at all. And that's why the gaps are there, where someone said some months back, that the Nigerian education system can never produce a Mark Zuckerberg. And if you think about it, that's an indictment. It's not because why we do things, we need to address the essence behind it. So I ask you, why do we sing national anthem every day?
It's our obligation as a Nigerian. It's our civic responsibility.
Sense. In other words, there's no sense in what we practice. Why do we put on tie or jackets as part of school uniform?
That's the school
nonsense. Why do we do inter-house sport, and none of the people that we put out for inter-house sport has represented Nigeria in the Olympics? Nonsense. So by the time we begin to question why we do what we do, we will have a rethink. PE teachers can't run 100 meters. We say students should do entrepreneurship in school, and the teachers themselves are bad business people. Nonsense. So anything that comes to the world of learning, we must first be the experts and professionals of it. So enough of trying to teach people. It's time for us to model what we teach, right? So that's where we begin to close the gap, right? Everybody living here today must make up their mind that will stop the Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Rotimi. So now we're going to be talking about the trainer's influence. A teacher, a parent, your influence. So now let's go to mindsets. How does a teacher's mindset directly shape classroom culture? Because the teacher is coming from somewhere. The teacher has their own preconceived mindsets, either fixed or a growth mindset. They have their own background, they have their own problems, they come with all sorts of baggages. So how does that influence them in the classroom and the culture of the classroom? Can you please speak to that, Ruhamat?
Okay, thank you very much for that important question. Because mindset is a very integral factor, just for the educators and the parents, but also the children. And to answer this question, I would say there's a level of awareness that every teacher must be able to have to be able to teach effectively in a classroom. And to have that level of awareness, it means you are asking critical questions to yourself. You are reflecting and you are being honest about the questions that you're asking yourself. So for instance, we've just entered into a new year, and it means that we've started a new curriculum for this new term, right, as teachers. So ask yourself, how did you do in the last term? How did your students, your children under you, the people that have been, put in your care, how did they improve, probably in any particular subject or in their behavior in general, or even in their own mindset? Then when you compare, because you have to come from somewhere before you get to somewhere, you have to come from some place to get to a destination. When you ask these critical questions, then you'll be able to now know how you can position yourself to see that, okay, there's a gap from where I'm coming from. Most of my students are not probably learning. Most of my students are not probably changing. There's no real effect in what is being done. Then how do I now position myself now as a teacher, knowing that now, because of this Train the Trainer Summit, you have understood that you are gatekeepers and you are custodians. It means that you are giving instructions and you are not necessarily parenting this child. So you begin to do what? You take those trainings, just like this trainer summit. You begin to take courses that are online. The world is a global village, and it's really a global village in the real sense of the word. I mean, with technology, with our phones, you can be able to access a lot of things. If anything comes to your mind right now, just ask questions. Ask ChatGPT, for instance, using that as an example, or Gemini, and it can take you to places that you never thought was possible. That you'll be able, even in your own language, in Igbo language, you'll be able to codify it and be able to internalize it, and then be able to create that transformation in the schools. I talked about level of awareness. Another thing as teachers is that we need to have a vision mindset. Just like schools, I mean, I believe every school have their vision and mission. We will ask the students in the schools that they should tell us what the vision and mission of the school is. Like they should, have it in their minds. But you as a teacher, have you asked yourself this question? What is my vision and my mission as a teacher? So for instance, we come into a school and we ask this question, and we mention the name of a teacher. What can be said about you? What can be said about you? Not just only in your presence, but also in your absence as a teacher. It's possible when you have a vision and people can see how that vision translates. Again, through the third thing, that is your values. What is your values? Values here goes beyond just saying I'm a person of integrity. I'm a very honest person. I come early. I'm very punctual as a teacher. Remember I said something in the beginning that you need to ask questions from where you are coming to where you are going to. When you ask questions, your values begin to change. And your values here could be that because of the fact that most of my students are being realistic, they are not moving forward, they are not really gaining something, again, from the positions they are getting, from the test results and all. Your values can now be that, okay, instead of this, I'm going to now, for instance, get 5 certified courses. I'm going to get 5 certified courses as a teacher in the first month of the year, right? And then those courses, you are focusing it on something. It could be probably you are focusing it on AI. It could be probably you are focusing it on a particular subject matter that concerns children in your school. When you have a high level of awareness, you ask the right questions, and from that high level of awareness, you have vision, and then from that vision, your values also corroborate. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was really deep. That was really deep. So the teacher's mindset affects everything. So what I hear from you is that teachers should take personal responsibility for their personal development. So don't just wait for the government to arrange programs, okay? When you see free programs like this, you jump on it, like the Train the Trainer Summit. You don't need to be cajoled. Anything you see online, any free trainings you see, please grab it. And also invest in your personal development. Save money to say, okay, this 2026, I'm going to take 2 new courses. I'm going to improve my practice. I'm going to search online. What are the new trends? What's happening in education? What's happening globally? Because the world is really a global village. So let's leave here with that mindset shift of taking responsibility of our personal development, even as parents. So there are so many things happening now, the trends for parents. You need to know what is happening, okay? So thank you very much, Rohama. So one last question for Barrister Doris. What competencies must every school insist on before calling someone classroom ready?
Before
calling someone classroom ready, before you bring someone into classroom to teach children, what are the competencies? What are the qualities and competencies?
Honestly, I like this question. Thank you so much. And I'm sure teachers in the house, you're listening now. First of all, I want to say that these things, competencies that will make you classroom ready, is very dynamic. Do you agree with me?
Yes, they change.
It changes with time. I'm sure prior 2020, a lot of us here didn't know being very tech savvy is important and going to make you classroom ready. We didn't know that prior just 2020. But today, for you to be competent ready for that 21st century classroom, you need to be tech savvy. And it doesn't matter whether you're a lot of people will tell you, oh, I don't like technology. That's not the question now. You have to like technology. Just like Uche said, like once in a while, you just set some money apart to just invest in yourself. Being classroom competent or competent ready for classroom, you really need to set money aside for a lot of trainings. I just mentioned one. There are numerous, Uche, but I'll try and mention few because teachers and educators in the house need things they can hold on as they're leaving this door. You can't say you're competent ready for classroom in today's world if you're not 21st century compliant teacher. By that, you know the skills for 21st century learning. You're not tech savvy. You can't prepare lessons and using technology and sending it to the children. You can't work with smart devices, even a smart board. Because it's important you know these things. These are the competent, what do they call it? Competencies for today's classroom. And I must warn you, it might change for tomorrow's classroom. But for today's classroom, you have to have this. And above all, emotional intelligence. You know, before now, nobody hammered on emotional intelligence as a competency for classroom. In fact, some of us that started teaching earlier before now, no, even if people were saying it wasn't making wave. But today, because of the invention of technology, emotional intelligence has become like not just an interesting topic, but must have skill for a teacher. Must have. And because the way the world is going right now, families are having a lot of challenges. So that competent teacher who is ready for classroom must be emotionally intelligent to manage the feeling of parents, which reflects in the child, and the feeling of other teachers you're working with, and regulate his or her own emotions. First, because you have to regulate your own to be able to manage other emotions, around you. So I don't know if you still want me to go on, okay, but I just want to feel that these are very important ones in today's classroom. However, tomorrow I'm sure more will be coming up to add to this. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So to just add another question to what you have said, like you said, next it may change. AI, we're now getting into AI, so that's another conversation. So now, we have a mix of teachers here from private and public schools. So now you've talked about technology, and we know that there are gaps, especially in the public schools. So now for a public school teacher here listening who is saying, oh, we don't have tablets, we don't have lights, we don't have smartphones, how do we be competent in this 21st century? So what can they do, even though we know that there are challenges, even though we know that these are the realities in Nigeria for the public schools? What can they do? How can they be innovative even in the situation that they are? Yeah.
Innovation starts with you before you enter your classroom. I don't want you to limit yourself because you feel I'm in a public school where nobody is really pushing us to even be this tech savvy. Nobody cares. After all, there are no gadgets or anything to even show what the skills you've acquired. First of all, start working on yourself. Start exposing yourself. If you're here in your public school teacher and you're seated in this hall, please, I need you to clap for yourself. Are you clapping for them? Hold on. Are you clapping for them? Are you the one clapping? I want to know. You are the one clapping. Yeah. You are amazing. You are amazing because honestly, in the public schools, there are no motivations for you to come for this kind of train-the-trainer summit. So which means you are self-motivated, and that's a plus for you. So I encourage you. Thank you. Take that. Yes. Take that flower. Clap for yourself. Take that flower. So I encourage you to expose yourself to this. That's started from there. And it's only in this kind of conversations that you can start, expanding your mind. She talked about mindset. Start expanding and remove the limitation mindset that always tell you, oh, because we are not doing this, I don't have to. Listen, the funny thing is that the children that comes to public school are also exposed to technology. That's the funny thing. So you need to, as you expose yourself, you start getting insight on what can we do? What can we do? You even start giving suggestions around where you are. You know, you start exposing the children to the much you can with the limited resources you have. You mustn't have smart board for you to start doing it. Yes, you mustn't have smart board. You mustn't have laptops and all. But you can start it. Even the conversation with the children can also help the children and help you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for that fantastic explanation. So a final question for Lady Jennifer. So now teachers often blame systems, like we just said now. Okay, you can talk about everything that is not working in the public school. So you're blaming the system, you're blaming students, blaming parents. What's the way forward? Because you have the children now in your care. What's the way forward?
Exactly. So you're blaming the parents. The parents, in fact, we'll start with the government. The government is horrible. They are not supporting us. The parents are not doing their job. Hustle culture has taken them away. But right now, the problem before you is that the children in your class are staring you in the face and expecting a miracle from you. The government is expecting you to perform a miracle. The parents are expecting you to perform a miracle. So at this point, what do we do? Do we throw the baby and the bathwater away and say, I'm helpless, there's nothing I can do? But the truth is that you are powerful. Every teacher here is powerful. But anyone that a child is able to look up to and call you teacher, you are powerful. Start from where you are. And you know, I believe that people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it also applies to the children. You can't change a child that you don't care about. And you can't pretend to care about people. If I truly care about you, you will know. When you truly care about a child, they will know. You can't try to correct a child that you've not known, that you've not connected with. So we must first of all begin to lead with love. Begin to lead with empathy. Understand that these children are limited. The problems that they have are not because they chose to have those problems, but it's because the system failed them. So start from that place of empathy. When the children know that you care about them, they are more amenable to learning. They are more open to change because you've seen beyond their problems. You see them. They know this teacher cares about me, and they are willing to listen to you. Have we experienced children in our classes that they're only particular people that they listen to? Yeah, it is because they have seen that those people truly care about them. So whether the government has failed or the family has failed and these children are right before you, begin to lead with love. Remember, you cannot correct a child that you have not connected with. I was talking to my teachers yesterday and I said, get into their world. What excites them? Talk about those things. When you're in their world, when they see that you are as human as they are, you see what they see, you know the things they know, it's easier for them to connect with you. And then when you now come to correct them, they know that this person is not coming from a vindictive point of view. They are not coming from a judgmental point of view. They are correcting me because they love me. We know of very wicked teachers that we know they are wicked though, but when children see them, children are running to them. The truth is, we might see them as strict, as firm, and you will think children will run away from them. Those firm teachers have been able to connect with the children. So the children know that beyond this firmness, this person truly loves me. And then your influence will really count in the life of a child. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lady Jennifer. So what I hear you say is connect to the child first before you can impact. Connect to impact. Thank you. So we'll take questions from the audience. If you have a question, please, you can bring it forward or raise up your hands. The mic will be given to you. Anybody? Yes, thank you. We have a question. Ruki. Yes. So we have a question from, okay, first question, please.
Thank you. Uzoma Chinelo, El Salma Schools. Okay, my question goes to Lady Jennifer Kweme. While she spoke in her first session, she mentioned the reasons why the topic she took us to was very important. And two of the reasons she mentioned was that the teachers are overwhelmed, the parents are overwhelmed. And my question is, if the two significant adults in a child's life at this point is overwhelmed, so what do we do as educators to help? Thank you.
I think when, it's one thing to be overwhelmed. It's another thing to sit down and ask yourself, why am I overwhelmed? What can I do about it? As a parent, there are times when you're overwhelmed, but you sit down and realize the job has to be done. There are things that need to, this overwhelm is in the mind. So if we're able to compartmentalize the things that are overwhelming us, we're able to deal with them. So for the teacher that is overwhelmed, the teacher needs to sit down and compartmentalize her problems. Are my problems behavioral problems? Are my problems academic problems? And group the problems together and begin to try to deal with them. If the parent is overwhelmed and the teacher is overwhelmed, the child will suffer. So at this point now, from the teacher's point of view, the teacher needs to be objective and tells themselves, okay, I know there's a lot to do, there's a lot of chaos here, but begin to group those problems and it will be easier to be solved. The same with parents. In the midst of the overwhelm, there are bills to be paid, there's a lot to do at home. Compartmentalize it and ask yourself, what is important to do now? Not everything that is urgent is important. Or rather, not everything that is important is urgent. So which one? What are the urgent things to do now? And the important things that can be done later. When we do that as parents and as teachers, it makes our life a bit easier.
Thank you. And in addition to what you've said, that word is mindfulness. So practicing mindfulness. So maybe you can Google it, ask your phone, say, what is mindfulness? So that's what she just explained. Being mindful. What exactly is the problem? So unboxing it. Is it marital problem? Is it financial? And then start to tackle it one by one. And then for teachers, what I would say is organizational skills helps as well. If as a teacher you are organized, you won't be overwhelmed with the workload. So planning is very important. You know that your lesson plans are due. You have your schedule for the year. You know what you ought to do. Sitting down and just planning and following through, that would help. Yes. And then
okay, so let's cut this academic thing. A lot of you are on overdrive. Teachers don't have fun. You go to school, you go to the house, you sleep, you wake up. A lot of you don't have functional hobbies. So one of the practical ways to stop overwhelm is to laugh. Have a laughing session every day, minimum of 40 minutes. You want practical skills, yes or no? 40 minutes recommended. Tell them at home, nothing is wrong with you. Maybe at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, laugh. Non-stop. You don't need trigger. You don't need, no. Don't watch comedy. Comedy means something triggered your laughter. You don't own your joy when something has to happen. That's why most of you are only happy at the end of the month when there's alert. Before alert, you are miserable. After alert, you are miserable. So you need to control your joy. Have a sport. Have a hobby. Walking is not a rich man hobby. It's a healthy mind's hobby. Jogging is not a rich man's hobby. It's a healthy mind's hobby. Do you understand? How many of you know how to swim here? I'm not saying mental swimming, physical swimming. You see, listen, until you practice abundance, the first weakness and frustration you experience in your mind, and it's your mind that can take you further. When it's Thanksgiving in church, have you noticed how long we dance? Talk to me now. Or for those of you that go clubbing, when you dance or at a party, have you noticed you dance, you sweat, you dance so long? But if you are in a session like this, you are tired. Why? Because most of the time, your real strength is derived from the mind. Mental strength is what leads to physical strength. Are we together? And so most of us need to start investing in that. There's none of you that can't do much. Trust me, if you ask our convener and other people, behind the scenes, they do several things. Listen to the profiles of people. They're in one meeting, they're doing something. One human being. Are we together? Do they have two heads?
most times it starts with the mind. So practical ways, mind first. Everybody say mind first. When you get home today, laugh for at least how many minutes? Can we try it here? Oh yeah, everybody, for the next 2 minutes, laugh.
As let's say, for example, the school I work for also have stipulated rules and regulations that really doesn't approve of these things. So how do I intentionally and calculatively help this child without offending the parents and also breaking rules and regulations? Thank you.
Teachers are really superheroes. We really are superheroes. So I'll tell you a story. Last term, we had a new child join the school. And the first complaints the teacher gave was that the girl steals. So she takes people's pencils and erasers and puts inside her underwear and begins to walk funny. Grade 1, 6-year-old. So we called her the first time and the teacher tried to talk to her. And she said her mommy doesn't have money because daddy doesn't provide money. And then the next time, she's very naughty. When the teacher tries to talk to her, she jumps at the teacher and tries to beat the teacher. 6-year-old, grade 1, yes. So this is not the one of, oh, the teacher is being, when the teacher tries to, the girl is scratching, and so that violence. And, you know, they did everything they could and they brought her to my office and I began talking with her. And the girl said, my daddy is always beating my mommy. Daddy is always beating mommy. It's always happening. The girl is frustrated. She's crying. And you know it's
The next speaker quickly. So please write your questions down. When the next speaker finishes, we'll take more questions, okay? So the ushers will go around.
You know that we have the divisional police officer of, Ogborikoko Police Station. Officer Temi, she's right here. Please give her a big hand. Now, we have the next speaker that is coming up. Trust me, if you are sleeping, wake the next person. Say, neighbor, wake up. Neighbor, wake up. Next person. Say, neighbor, wake up. Neighbor, wake up. We hear from this speaker.
The father, the auntie, alcoholics.
The Duke's Infant and Child Foundation, advocating for children's brighter future.